everyone, and welcome back to What a Barb, a Polin podcast. It's the eve of Polin Part 1, whatever it's called, Season 3 Part 1. You'd think I'd know by now. We have many emotions, which we'll get into, I'm sure. But for now, I am joined by my wonderful Lecky and my wonderful Veg. We are sans Beans today, but I think I'm going to force her to pop in at various points, so don't fear. You will hear the voice of Beans, like the voice of an ancient god, bestowed upon us, popping in and out throughout the episode. But until then, you're stuck with us three. You two, how are you? Lecky, we'll start with you. What's going on, Leck?
I'm doing all right. I'm actually...
Great.
I ate like a pint of ice cream yesterday. I'm lonely because my husband's not here. But I am excited about the show coming out.
Oh, you've got your dog, though.
My dog is watching Antiques Roadshow in the other room because she also misses my husband.
She's very, very sweet.
Do you have an American version, or are you watching British?
I'm watching Pluto TV, which is like a free streaming service, and they have both. I think they have both the British one and the American.
Do you have antiques in America?
Do we have antiques?
Have antiques?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have antiques. We have antique shops. They're probably not quite as ancient as the antiques you would find in Europe, but we do have antiques.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're doing well. Like, Vegetable, how are you? I know how you are.
Oh my God.
I'm a very draining person to know, and I'm a very draining person to spend time with, and poor Veg has spent all day with me.
Yeah.
At one point, she was just like, can I go now?
Okay. True fact, but that was because I was overstimulated from the day. Basically, so you guys know that I'm going through a breakup, and it's a lot of ups and downs, obviously, but I've had something on every evening this week to like distract myself, and because I have amazing friends. Who knew? Well, I did, but I'm just so thrilled. And also thank you to everyone who's messaged. You're great. But yeah, I've had something on every day this week. And yesterday I went to a spin karaoke class across London. It was an hour and a half to get there. And then I was out with Ovs, and I think I just got it's just a bit much.
We had a very Bridgerton day, didn't we?
Yes, it was lovely. We went to Lush, and we did experience where they gave us little tea in little teacups, and we made a face mask.
We did. It's a specific Bridgerton thing.
Yeah.
So I think probably people know there's like a Bridgerton Lush collab, but they're doing like these little tea parties. I think they're across the country. And Lecky, you sent us the link the other day and I signed us up. And it was very sweet. We went in, like you say, we had tea. I drank your tea though. I drank a lot. I didn't even like tea, and I was like drinking it away. And it was very cute. We had a look at the collab stuff, but hilariously, we like bought stuff, obviously, but we bought something. I'm trying to see where mine is. We bought something that isn't part of the collab, and it was like the most Polin coded thing we could find. And it's like a tin. Lecky, we sent it to you. It's like this tin that's like vintage inspired, and it has just hot air balloons on it. And we were like, we have to buy this tin. And the hot air balloons are yellow and blue. And so they were like, why are you buying this? And I was like, which is great, isn't it?
I just love how we've adopted the hot air balloon as a fandom.
Oh, it's like my favourite thing in the world, I'm telling you. And then earlier this week, actually, I went into the Lush on Oxford Street, and they have like a pop-up, and it was so much fun, and the staff were just the loveliest people in the world. So big shout out to them. If you're around, go into Lush. The one in Oxford Street, it has a whole experience going on, and they're so lovely. So highly recommend.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. No, just wandering around London.
Just really into Lush.
Oh yeah, and I spent my birthday gift card. Thank you, Lecky.
Oh, you're welcome.
London's getting very Bridgerton-y, and I'm, as Veg experienced today, I'm on a mission to experience it all.
Yeah, we went to Biscuiteers and got some biscuit, which we'll share pictures of. We took them on little adventures.
We did. There's the tin, but Lecky and I yesterday found that they'd made gingerbread men. They have like a range of like it's like very simple, very rustic gingerbread people. And we found that they'd made a Colin, Penelope and Queen Charlotte version. And they're incredible.
They're called like the Jolly Gingers. It's the Jolly Ginger collection.
I didn't know that, and when you showed me them, I screamed.
And as a redhead myself, I felt very passionate about this. And so we traipsed all the bloody way to Notting Hill, and we went in and we bought Pen and Colin, and I was like, we're going to take them on a photo shoot, which we were just thrilled to do. Oh, and then as we were getting on the tube, Veg saw her very first. What did you see, Veg?
Yeah, I saw my very first Polin ad. I don't go on the tube much. I do like a little hack where I just hop on trains and I just change all the trains. I just go on main lines across London. But yeah, so I hadn't seen it on the tube stations. And there they were. We were going down an escalator, and Obs like saw one out the corner of her eye, and she was like, quick. So I was like, we go back up the escalator.
Go back. And then we took photos of them with their gingerbread people. And what happened, Veg? What unfortunate incident that I was fuming at her. What happened, Veg?
Unfortunately,
I had
to bring I had to bring out the guillotine for Colin's crimes.
She decapitated the Jolly Ginger Colin. Decapitated.
Unintentionally, listener.
She says it was unintentional. I think it's very suspicious how it wasn't Penn or the Queen who had their heads decapitated. So when we took them on this photo shoot, which I think we'll probably share the pictures, they're not very good, but I was very enthusiastic. We went to the chapel where they get married.
Oh, no,
where we
you
think.
didn't.
And obviously, because he was decapitated, we couldn't, his head was on the floor. Oh, we'll share pictures, right?
Yeah, the head kept falling off, and then we had to get out the face mask. What a story this is, Obs. Honestly, we had to get out the face mask we'd previously made
At the Lush Bridgerton experience.
and use it to glue Colin's head back to his body.
So we've put, I'm not even joking, because we didn't have any icing, we had to use resources at hand. So we got out the face mask and pasted it together.
Oh.
Yeah, I've got pics.
And so now we have a gingerbread biscuit that has not only has been on the floor
Several times.
he kept falling off.
The head kept going on the floor. It was quite amusing.
We pasted him together. We do not advise eating Lush products. And it worked. It worked. So the little Colin gingerbread biscuit, he has a little yellow cravat, which is very sweet. It's better with a head on, but you can't have everything in life.
You can enjoy the yellow cravat without the head even.
You can.
Wait. This is very free the neck of you.
Absolutely.
Free the neck from the head and you've got a whole other story.
Free the neck campaigners, we see you.
I just think it's very interesting that it wasn't Penn that was decapitated. I think it's very suspicious. We'll share pictures. We had a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you to London for being sunny. Thank you to Lush for having Bridgerton stuff. And thank you to Jolly Gingers. Not sponsored by London, not sponsored by them, not sponsored by anyone. Sponsored by my bank account.
Yes, once again, thanks to the listeners for being lovely. But everything's looking up in Vegland because this week, I decided I wanted some stability in my life after a relationship's gone, and my boyfriend was always a bit funny about buying a house because he didn't want to commit. But so I have had an offer accepted to buy,
Boop, boop, boop.
not a house, I'm not rich, a little flat.
Congratulations.
Yay!
Amazing.
And it's very close still to Ranger's house.
It is. You're not going far, are you? You're not going far. Beans, we think she's fine. She's just busy today. We'll get her to say hi at some point. She's doing well, I think. Well, I actually think she was well this week. But, once again, she's making sacrifices for us all. So that's what she's busy doing. But guys, I just thought, I hit you on. This is going to be the last episode we put out before season 3 enters our lives. Can you believe?
Oh, but we will be putting out the Block 4 Part 2 crumbs before Part 2. I know we keep saying that, but we will do our very best to put that out during the break. And we'll have more speculation because we would have already seen the first 4 episodes at that point. So
I couldn't be bothered putting together an episode. So we went to our wonderful listeners who helped a girl out, who provided so many amazing questions. You're all so wonderful. So thank you. We'll try and get through as many as we can today. We might save some for little Part 2 episodes, who knows? But thank you very much. We love you all. And you really saved me a few hours today. You saved me hours so I could go and stick Colin's head back on a biscuit. I mean, he was a biscuit. You can't tell me I wasn't going to buy... Well, actually, Veggie made you buy this. But of course we were going to buy a biscuit version of Colin. It's a match made in heaven, right? So, guys, I've vaguely organised them into vague categories. They don't have interesting names because I put them together in the last half hour because I came home and napped instead of writing the episode. So you can kind of choose your own Bee Adventure, even though she's not here. I'm going to start us off with some very general questions, and then we've got categories that you can just decide which category, and we can just rattle through as many as we can. You up for it?
Yes.
Let's get going. Oh, actually, though, before we do, we've just had a last minute crumb that I haven't heard yet. Lecky, have you got a little crumb for us just as we're recording? We're recording this on Saturday, just for context. What's going on?
So Nick and Newts did an interview with, I think it was NBC in Chicago. So they were discussing something they were surprised that kind of fans that latched onto, and she revisited the Lord Fife thing, where she said that, fans think that Fife is into Penelope because of that scene in 208 when they kind of have that moment where they're looking at each other during the Polin dance. And she said during the original takes for that scene that Fife is actually laughing and sneering at her, but they edited it in such a way that you can't see the laughing and the sneering.
Oh my
Not
gosh.
my Fife. Not my Fife. Look, unfortunately, if it didn't make the edit, it didn't happen in my book. And that is the life I live. Also, how do you explain 204 then? I live the Fife life.
Fife wife life.
The Fife wife life. I haven't seen that man actually put a foot wrong. You give me something he's actually done or said, oh, we can have a conversation.
Let's revisit after part 1.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm happy to. He's there drinking cocktails. I've seen him drinking cocktails at least 3 times in the promo we have. So yeah, give me something he's actually done wrong and we'll have the conversation. But no one ever can. This is the thing, no one ever can. It's always a Bridgerton boy nearby that's done something wrong. And, you know, we make them out to be heroes.
Or Lord Wilding.
Oh, don't get me started on bloody Lord Wilding.
We love you, Joe Barnes, really. Sorry. I just have to say that every time. It's just very funny to make fun of you because we were so attached to Lord Wilding.
So it's actually ruined us. Just a very quick couple of questions just to ease us in. The 7th girl on Instagram, who has the most adorable account, I have to say, said, did your heart explode when Nick said that she and Luke talked about the Barb scene and the 2 characters being soulmates? So if you don't know what this is referencing, Nicola said that they touched back on the What a Barb scene as a reference point throughout their time filming as a really foundational part of the Polin relationship. How did we feel?
I find this very satisfying because I feel like, yeah, that's one of the best examples of their relationship and their connection and just like the image of them gossiping on the side of a ball together.
That's Polin, right?
Yeah, that's Polin.
Yeah, and that's like the foundation for this podcast. No thoughts, just Barb.
Yeah, I campaigned for the name What a Barb, so I'm very vindicated.
I have to confess, the What a Barb scene probably doesn't make my top 5 Polin moments. I love it, but...
Well, you don't have to stay on the What a Barb podcast.
I told you, observations coming soon to a podcast platform near you. Can you remind us of your Series 3 wish list of things you're hoping to see / what you're most excited to see in Season 3? So that came from book.ishmoonchild on Instagram. And I'm so sorry, by the way, I'm going to butcher every single username. I apologise profoundly. Well, my wish list is diminishing by the second, I think. You know what? My wish list, I've always said, just to get to the end of Season 3. I've always said that if he just turns to at the end of the episode and goes, you were right, Pen. It's been a long 2 years. I just need to get over the finish line.
I feel like so many of the scenes I still want to see maybe in part 2 because I've inferred from like the promo and everything we've heard that they're maybe not in part 1, like the baby Polin flashback, for example, or Berkeley Square, or Irish Maid Pen being caught by Colin. And I don't even know if that will happen, but I feel like it would be a missed opportunity if they didn't have it. And then one of the other things I was really hoping for is Penelope sneaking in and out of the Bridgerton house, but apparently she just walks in the front door.
Just walk through the front door.
So,
Veg, what's on your wish list? Do you have anything particular or do you just want to get over the finish line?
I don't know. I think what I said before was, I think I must have said something about some kind of pain in Colin's eyes.
I think we're going to hit that mark.
We've got that already from the trailer even, so tick.
Dreams come true.
I just honestly think the last couple of weeks have been so chaotic in terms of the leaks and the non-leak
the amount
clips.
of promo.
Yeah, that it seems like everything is just very different from what we imagined, but not necessarily in a bad way. So I'm just excited to see the story play out and just watch it like a normal person.
Like a normal person. Well, that's not going to happen, but...
Well, okay, not like a normal person. I have taken the day off work, but just watch it through. But just watch and enjoy and see their love story.
Oh, I also still want to see Perfect, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just emotionally preparing myself.
Dreams are dying. Emotionally preparing for everything to go wrong. There's one thing I've learned from the promo. It's how much commitment Nick and Newt have put into the characters to like a phenomenal level. And I'm just ready to see that.
We'll have to revisit this probably after part 2 because I don't think it's going to be in part 1, but I could be surprised. But if they didn't do like a Berkeley Square inspired dance, like in public, outdoors somewhere, that would be such a missed opportunity because it's so cinematic. So I really, really hope that they worked that in somehow, but we'll see how that goes.
Insta Carla Sue asks, which outfit are you most excited to see? It can be any character. We have heard that Cressida has some sort of incredible, weird, bizarre, out of place outfit, which sounds really cool. But is there anything in particular you're after seeing?
I really love that the lilac dress that she's been wearing in the recent promo. It's so, so gorgeous.
Is that the episode 5 dress with the bows in her hair that we saw on the CBS promo?
Yeah, beautiful.
That is maybe one of my favourite pen looks ever.
Yeah, stunning.
Also, I would say in that footage, there was, I don't think it was a final dress. I think it was like a slip or it was like a draft of a dress. But it was the most modern. A lot of people have pointed out that it's very Portia inspired, the silhouette. And it has the most insane, gorgeous, retro 1940s, yet far, far modern from the Regency. Is stunning. So I'm very intrigued to see the final product of that.
Yeah, that one's beautiful.
Veg, what are you most looking forward to? Are you after a little wedding dress? Are you after a little evening gown? What are you feeling?
basically, we've had some great costume like content interviews that have come out. And I loved the one was talking about all the different inspirations. So like Colin's, how it wasn't far off being a pirate, but they did add some modern elements to his outfit.
Yeah.
And things like that. And there's just so many layers that I think I'm just very excited for the costuming in general. But I think there was a two things. One, I would like a Colin bedroom. What's he going to wear? And like the bedroom love scenes. Is he going to wear a billowy shirt? Because sign me up.
Mm-hmm. It's the Regents who've got to have a billowy shirt.
Yeah.
Probably some suspenders. I don't know.
Please, Lucky. And also, we've got that. We only saw it briefly, and I'm very out of the loop, so maybe we already know what it is. But Penn wears like a bright blue dress in a recent promo.
In the Shondaland promo, it's like deep blue and it's very Rita Hayworth and it's very Jessica Rabbit, bright red lipstick. Spoiler alert. Which is interesting because in that episode 5 clip that we saw, which we'll get to a little bit later, Crested is also wearing bright red lipstick, which I don't think we've seen her wear before. Yeah, the final version of that outfit.
Oh, I was going to say, on Reddit, I mentioned this in that promo from CBS Mornings. Cressida's dress is also very Penelope coded. The sleeves are very Penelope and it has this shimmer to the dress that reminds me so much of the Enchanted Pen dress.
Yeah.
There's like some shimmers on the, like glittery sparkle shimmers on the sleeve.
Yeah.
That look very Enchanted Pen. And the pink color maybe reminds me of how they kind of use pink as a sign of Penelope's independence and maybe her lady whistledown side. So I wonder if that's where like the power dynamic between Penelope and Cressida is flipping as the potential blackmail plot unfolds. Or her claiming that she's Lady Whistledown. But the start of that.
Spoilers. So in terms of what we've already seen from the outfits, Lucky, what a username, incredible. Lucky_Squirtle asked, what is your favourite part 1 Colin outfit that we've seen so far? Lecky?
Pirate Colin, I
Pirate
suppose.
Colin.
Oh, wait, no. Part 1, hot air balloon Colin, probably.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's like the updated pirate.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And you know what? He arrives at the hot air balloon festival with the pirate coat, if you remember.
Yeah, he's fully in.
So it's, 100% it's hot air balloon Colin.
Veg, what's your favourite?
Favourite Colin look? I would probably agree, actually. And there's such a unique hairstyle he has. It's like slicked back and we haven't seen it. And his hair journey, I'm all here for it. You know the hairstyle I mean? The one that's like nothing like we've seen before. It's like combed back.
Yeah, in like episode 3.
Is that the one where he's maybe in the park? People have pointed out that's quite Debling-y. He might be like unintentionally mirroring Debling.
Sorry, Colin. I quite like it.
I think I'm going to go. My favourite, you know what? My favourite Colin isn't Pirate Colin, because Pirate Colin to me is blurry Pirate Colin. There's a I know this sounds insane. We'll talk about leaks later, but there's a difference between leak Pirate Colin and high definition Pirate Colin, and that's just the way my brain works. My favourite my favourite Colin is Osterley Colin. Every time he just looks absolutely adorable, so sincere, so sweet.
Looks like a Disney prince in that one still with the green background is what I say.
He has these at the hand in a bandage. Of course I'm gonna love it. So those are your little warm-up questions. Now I've got some categories for you. We've got just general Pollen, what else do we talk about? We've got more theories, some Debling questions, Part 2 questions, watching season 3 / spoiler talk, season 3 timeline, whistle down reveal,
wonderful,
non-polling questions, or just fun questions about the pod, just general bits and pieces, a little bit more relaxed. Which you want to start with?
Debbers.
You want to start with Deb?
Sure.
She spent the day beheading Colin. Might as well start off with Debling questions.
Oh, important update about Lord Debling. If you follow us on Instagram, you might have seen, we put a poll up asking, what nickname does Lord Debling go by? It seems as though we now know he's called Alfred. We were like, is he Al? Is he Alfie? Is he Fred? And who voted, Lecky?
Debling himself, Sam Phillips, voted. His answer was?
Veg?
Debbers.
So it's official. This is not a democracy. This is Sam Phillips decides and we fall in line. His nickname is Devers.
I had like a shower daydream about this because yesterday I made a joke to the others. I said like, oh, I would have voted for his nickname being like, my lord, we're headed straight for the penguin. Whatever. And then I was thinking it'd be really hilarious if he like discovers penguins, maybe like just trips over one. And then Colin's like, I would never trip over a penguin.
Well, this is the thing. We've had quite a few questions about Debling. First of all, it's the first time I've spoken to you guys about it. I spoke to Beans about it the other day. Are we all still stunned about the Antarctic plot twist?
I'm befuddled. I'm perplexed.
It was a Shondaland article that added this. What was interesting is I think it had been expanded from the original interview that they did with him back in February, which is where the original idea of the love match came from. Now, Where's the Happy on Instagram asked us, do you think Devlin starts off wanting a stay-at-home wife and then actually falls for Penn? And this is something Beans and I were wondering the other day.
Yeah, I feel like they want him to be like a true romantic rival, so I feel like he will develop a fondness for Penn.
I don't think he'll fully fall in love with her. Has he got time to fall in love with her?
No, because I think he's gone by episode 4. I just think he'll develop a fondness for her, and he'll be like, this is a woman that I could see enjoying as my wife.
Nicola said very fond.
Very fond. Well, Ava Leith on Instagram asked us, will we see much of Devlin in part 2? And we don't think we will. We think he'll be out the picture by ep 5.
I think he'll be gone episode 4.
Similar to the Prince, he kind of, he served narrative purpose, and then you move on to the next part of the story.
The next part of the drama, yeah.
Hey, Baby Goat asked us, if Penn and Colin didn't end up together, and then they added like a very, very traumatised emoji face, do you think Penn would be happy with Devlin? I'm going to say no, because she's coming into the Devlin thing of it in a very different Penelope headspace. The reason that I think she might think Devlin will work is because
she's suppressing that part of herself.
He's going to be like, I'm going to leave you, basically, and you're not going to have me around. You'll have my protection and my estate and everything, but I'm just going to piss off. And she's like, great, I don't have to form an emotional connection with you when my heart is truly actually with somewhere else. And also, like, you give me everything I need and you'll be gone. Whereas Penelope herself is like a true romantic, but she's going through a hard time, so she's trying to force that down. But I don't know. I just think the idea of Penn being stuck on an estate, running things instead of running her own business, running her own life, is just so sad and just so not what she really wants in life.
Well, maybe she doesn't know that right off the bat. We're told that she wants a husband that will allow her to have her own independence and then maybe continue Lady Whistledown. So she may not know the little Antarctic detail yet.
He's like, oh, by the way.
But I think that she wouldn't be truly happy with Devlin because I feel like she's suppressing her true self at the start of the season, and the fact that she's romantic and the fact that she'll always love Colin and that they're soulmates. They're meant to be together. So yeah, I don't think she would be happy with Colin. I wonder if it would be, I don't think she'd be happy with Devlin.
Don't you start, fucking hell.
I wonder if there are mirrors of the Marina-Philip relationship where if Penelope ended up with Devlin, she would be content, but she wouldn't necessarily be happy.
And if she'd never, because I think Jess Brownell touched on this in an interview, she was like, if there had been no Colin at any point, it would be a great option for her because ultimately he would treat her nicely, she'd have a nice life, and she'd never really know that this other world. And it is a thing, it's like you can settle with someone and have a very content life, or you can meet someone who transforms your life and it's one of those life-altering love stories. And I suppose you don't know unless you know, but the problem is with Penn, she does fucking know. She knows exactly, and that's the doomed aspect. And Maya.473 asked us, what do you think Lord Devlin's reaction to Colin being literally obsessed with Penelope will be? And this is a really interesting one.
Spoiler alert.
Because Lecky, when you found that behind the scenes from was it Entertainment Tonight? The E.T. clip, and we saw a little moment of Penelope and Devlin talking at the Queen's ball. And I was speaking to Beans about it at the time, and when we were recording, we were like, oh, okay, this could be Devlin, maybe not overtly proposing, but kind of being like, these are my intentions.
Spoilers.
And then when we thought about like the little clips that we'd seen and that, and when I was editing it, I thought back to something Beans had said in February. And Beans, and you know she's the prophet of doom, she can see all these things. She was like, I wonder if Devlin will see what's happening and choose to bow out. And I think that would be such a twist that we wouldn't see coming.
Yeah.
And from what we've seen with Colin, last year we all wondered, will the Polin love story be really covert? Will no one really notice it happening? And obviously what we've seen is it's very overt because Colin's involved and he has never possessed the ability to hide an emotion he's ever had in his life. If he's standing just staring at her constantly, or like bumping into the park and staring at her and doing all these chaotic things, and if at the ball we've got the stills of him maybe interrupting or at least speaking to her in front of everyone, do you think Devlin's going to be like, there's something going on here?
This is a spoiler from that E.T. promo that we've covered in our past episodes.
Spoiler alert.
In that E.T. promo, we saw a little bit of the script. It's very blurry, so I'm not even sure if this is exactly what it says, but it says something like maybe Devlin nods without smiling.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And if you look at the little clip that's playing out actually on the monitor in front of them, he does look very serious. He doesn't look very happy.
Spoilers.
And from the trailer where he says, you know, you look especially beautiful tonight, Miss Featherington, I think we think that a proposal is coming. Yeah. And if that is maybe like a proposal scene or some sort of scene between them that happens after that, I feel like it's not a joyous occasion. It's not a joyous moment.
Do you think that, because Penn doesn't look very happy when they're dancing.
Right. She looks panicked.
Do you think there's a moment with Colin and Penn at the ball, maybe Colin interrupts the dance or does something so obvious? Because when we see the carriage footage of him running outside and we think he's chasing her, once again, for a start, he's running, so people would notice. But if you look in the background, people are looking at him.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's thinking at all about what people think, but people will think and will see. And I wonder if Debling's included in that. And that's the moment he's like,
Yes.
He's either like, I'm not getting involved because I don't really want to be played for the fool when there's already these two in love. Or maybe he is more altruistic and he's like, I know you love him and he loves you. You two need to sort your shit out.
Yeah, I think the thing is with Debling, we all know that he's, in a way, a narrative tool to make it. So Penelope is still actively choosing Colin in a way, as well as providing that jealousy angle for Colin. So I think he will react in the human way and there will be upset because he's invested all this time into like courting Penn and, you know, bought a ring or whatever. And then to have that happen is going to be frustrating. But I don't see the writers making him suddenly turn nasty because then that's why Penn's broken up with him.
Do you think he's going to instigate it?
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
What we've wondered in the past is, would Penn call it off with Debling because she ultimately knows that she can't be with someone?
No, I think Debling will notice, yeah.
If he makes that decision for her, does that not dilute the power of her choosing Colin? Do you know what I mean?
Spoiler alert.
To revisit the script thing, there was also a bit of the script from another scene in the same ball where it says like Colin kind of like stalks towards Eloise and it kind of seems like maybe he's pushing through the crowd and a bunch of people are gossiping and whispering and we thought maybe something was happening there. And we speculated that maybe it was like the Queen announcing, you know, the bounty for Lady Whistledown. But now it seems like maybe Colin does something. And that's because at another recent promo, we saw a little clip from the ball of Queen Charlotte reacting to something happening in front of her. And she says, what just happened? And Brimsley, he says something like, it seems like there was a disturbance, Your Majesty, or something like that.
Disturbance in the force.
Yeah. Yeah, but Queen Charlotte seems shocked by something that has happened. So that to me maybe means that whatever people are gossiping about in the ballroom is not what the Queen has announced, but maybe something that Colin does.
Chaos Colin. We had him knew. We might have had anything else known, but we knew that.
Spoilers.
If Debling rejects Penn, that's a bit harsh. If he pulls himself out of the story, then that is maybe a big twist that we didn't see coming, right?
Yeah.
And then it would make it different to what happened with Daphne where she turned the prince down. But do you think that would be, for Penn, it looks like she goes outside or she goes somewhere and she's crying.
Yeah.
And it's like she's lost. I don't know. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because if it's her still trying to be practical.
Her way out.
And then that gets pulled out from under her. The only way I can see it is if the Polin relationship has got so obvious and they're so clearly down bad for each other that it's very, very obvious to both of them about how they both feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which leads us on to a quick question about the carriage, because spoilers, but from the promo, it looks like the carriage scene connects onto this. What will happen in the carriage that could surprise viewers? Diana's.artist asked. And Rachel Mackenzie has asked, our final theory, is the carriage related to Lady Whistledown or not?
Yeah, I think the thing that surprised me the most is that they're maybe not keeping the Lady Whistledown reveal tied to the carriage scene, that those may be two separate scenes from what we've heard from recent promo. That is probably the most surprising to me because I thought for sure that it was going to play out like it did in the books, but I guess it may not.
Lecky, I think we're on the same wavelength because to me, when I think about the carriage scene, it's obviously this intense, like intimate, passionate scene, but the passion was so deeply connected to
the reveal,
to the reveal, but also to Colin's attraction to Lady Whistledown ultimately, and that complicated emotion. But it ties back to moments like the What a Barb scene, even the Byron scene, if you take it that far back into episode 1, where ultimately he is angry with her and upset and confused, but he's still so drawn to her that
brimming with that emotion.
And that's kind of where our idea has always come from with understanding the scene. So to divorce that, and we'll get into the timeline of it all, but for me that reframes the entire timeline.
So I agree with everything you said, but I am very excited that it is just gonna basically be feral Colin. Big fan.
Well, it's this confession that we keep hearing about, that it's a confession scene as well that's really interesting. So it might not be the Whistledown reveal, but there is going to be something that's confessed and illuminated.
It's going to be a good moment.
Yeah, and from the promo, he looks just undone.
Yeah.
He's a lost man.
Lost his head as well, bless him. So a user called No One Needs Hope 01, which sounds like something I'd say, to be honest with you.
It does, yeah.
This is actually a question from our spoiler talk, but I think it ties into this because I think we'd all have the same answer. They asked, among all the spoilers that we have, were any of you genuinely upset about something that we've heard? So I know that we all had a strong reaction to
Spoiler alert.
the brothel storyline.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, would we've had it? No. But we've all come around to the storytelling of that. We can see the more we've heard about Colin's facade and his confidence and everything like that, it makes sense storytelling-wise.
And how he was basically pushed into it by Lady Whistledown.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
But I think if there's one thing that's genuinely upset us, it's the idea, and it hasn't been confirmed, it's just speculation. It's the idea that Colin doesn't find out that Penelope is Lady Whistledown until after they're together / engaged / married.
I still don't like this. We'll see how this goes when we actually see part 2 go down, if it is in fact in part 2. But
I struggle with it.
I'm going to try not to be too critical, but I feel like it's slightly out of character for Penelope to withhold that information from him, because I feel like she does make these sacrifices where she hurts herself to help others, even if she's kind of, hurting them in a way.
Yeah.
But I feel like she wouldn't keep that from Colin. I would have just preferred if she was honest. Even if he was upset, I would rather her be honest with him. I was really hoping that either she would tell him or that he would be smart enough to figure it out on his own, and it would be different from the books where he just kind of stumbled upon that information, that he just figured it out himself, because I feel like he is a really clever character.
Oh, God, yeah.
Who can kind of piece these clues together. So I kind of hoped that either he would figure it out or she would tell him. And the fact that it may be neither is not what I would have chosen. But we'll see what happens.
Well, Mystical Dimple 7 asked us our thoughts on Colin finding out about Lady Whistledown potentially after they're engaged. Let's go with that, okay? Let's go that he finds out after they're engaged. And they said, isn't that another Marina situation for him?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, it kind of feels like ultimately it's a repeat of Marina. Another Featherington entering into an engagement with him without him knowing the full situation.
Deceiving him.
That's what Penelope wanted to avoid.
Exactly.
Right. I think that is what people are struggling with, because if that hadn't happened, or if it was like alternative universe, it was Penelope and Benedict, it wouldn't be as bad because that would be like the first time it happened. But that was such a way that Colin was used and hurt.
It traumatized him for 2 seasons. It stayed with him for so long as well.
Yeah.
And she saw how damaged he was. When you look at season 1, because I think a common misconception is that Penn did what she did with Marina because she was like, I want Colin.
Exactly.
And now the thing is with Penn, if she wanted Colin, if she wanted to trap Colin into marriage, she'd just have to write one of the million things he does every fucking day. And they'd have to be in a marriage. She could easily get him in a relationship if that's what she wanted. If you actually watch season 1, Penelope was sadly accepting of the fact she thought that Colin was going to end up with Marina, and she was resigned to it until she realised that Colin was being trapped into something.
Yep.
And that's when she took action. If you actually watch it scene by scene, that is the progression of that story. And this idea then, it's now reframed the entire storyline that I have in my head. I've always been so convinced that she would reject his proposal at the carriage. And now I'm like, is she going to go along with it? Is she going to accept his proposal and they're going to doop off into the sunset and he's just not going to fucking know? I just can't get my head around it. I just can't.
Could be that she's not forced into it, but gets out of the carriage
They're discovered.
That's what I was thinking.
at Penelope's house. Portia jumps out.
He's seen running outside. He's seen running towards the carriage.
If somebody sees them getting out of the carriage and they're both kind of disheveled and everyone knows that they left the ball together. He runs out and hops in her carriage. There's multiple witnesses, so they know they were at least alone. And if they come out looking extremely disheveled, maybe people can put 2 and 2 together and her hand is kind of forced.
Yeah.
But I still do hope that she tells him and that they kind of work through that at least before the love confession and the mirror scene, because I feel like it's so important for them to have been honest with each other, especially before the mirror scene, because it's just like this intimate, vulnerable moment between them.
I'm worried by how happy Colin looks in his, like, what we think is his bachelor party.
Is that a man who doesn't know?
Because we all know, especially in Shondaland, happy moments are
Followed by disaster.
swiftly followed by bad ones.
Well, Camilla Menko asked us, how do you think the Lady Whistledown reveal will go? And the only way I can get my head around it is if there is a reason, and a very good reason, that she can't tell him. But Nicola said in a recent interview that it's something she struggles with. It's an immoral dilemma for her, and it weighs heavily, and it poisons her. And it doesn't poison the relationship, but it's, if you're holding something back, it's going to be toxic. And it's going to seep through. And so it sounds like she isn't telling him for XYZ reason, but it's weighing on her heavily. So do you think she's maybe going to planning on telling him, or there's a situation why she can't, and then he finds out, maybe followers or whatever, and then he is just so blindsided because he was so blissfully happy, because the whole of part one was him being so deeply pained by the idea of not being with her, by losing her, and then he finally gets her, and then, yeah, what do you think?
Spoiler alert.
For me, knowing that he maybe has a distaste, a hatred for Lady Will Sit Down could play into it, but I feel like that's still not enough for me.
Spoilers.
I would have hoped that she would have come clean, and I can't wrap my head around what kind of external factor might be forcing her to remain quiet on that issue. So we'll see how it goes.
Lucky, I said something to you the other day because you were like, maybe she just, for whatever reason, just can't get around to telling him. Maybe it's just the opportunity never arises, or every time she wants to, he sort of cuts in. But I think I said to you, interruptions are an excuse for someone who doesn't want to tell the truth.
Yeah.
If you want to tell someone the truth, you find the time to tell them the truth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess we'll see the circumstances surrounding it.
A question from me, then, just to follow on this. We think from Luke's interview with InStyle that this is a scene where he's going to have the very extreme reaction. We've already heard that he's going to have the worst reaction out of everyone. What I love about Luke's interpretation is that he found himself crying in that scene, which I feel is a very Colin reaction. He's not just going to scream at her and be angry.
That was somewhat of a relief to hear.
Yeah, and it's going to be driven by emotion. Now, do you think that that reveal would push him to, or push Penelope even, to end the engagement? Because I've always said either there's a rejected proposal or there is a broken engagement. One or the other. And now I don't think she's going to reject it. I think this girl is, but I can't remember, was I talking to you the other day? And you were like, all this time I've been critical of Colin, and then Penn's just there swanning away, being like, doop-a-doop-a-doop. Do you think there will be a broken engagement, or an offer of a broken engagement that Colin doesn't go through with?
Maybe.
The thing is, he never fought for Marina. And I think this is the difference when you're talking about, unfortunately, we'd hoped that the difference with the Marina parallel would be that Penn would never entrap him in something like that, or would never let him be in that situation again. But I think maybe the difference they're going for is when he's in that same situation, his reaction is different. So with Marina, he didn't really love her, so he didn't fight for her. And he also wasn't mature enough to fight for her. He was still a child who went to his bedroom and let the grown-up sort it out because he didn't put up a fight. Whereas I wonder if they're going to be like, the difference here is that he loves her and can't be without her, and no matter this big obstacle that's come their way, he won't allow that to tear them apart. Even if Penn's like, let's just end the engagement then if you're that upset with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I feel like it was quite an intense discussion. So yes, I'm sorry to that user who asked if there's something that actually genuinely upset us. The answer is yes. But I trust what Luke said, that the story is about forgiveness. And I trust what Nicola said, is that these are two characters who are still making mistakes. And it's like Colin, right? He made a mistake in 208. Do you be forever remembered by the mistake you make, or do you be remembered for the way you move forward? I suppose that's the only way we can go forward with it.
And also, as Tom Verica said 5 million years ago, it'll be potentially Polin against the world in the last 2 episodes.
The last 5 minutes.
So there may be a lot of hurdles to get there, but there will be Polin against the world at some point.
Okay, seeing as though, we've riled ourselves up, let's lighten the mood. Let's go to some little fun questions. Okay. So, we were talking about Colin's hairstyling earlier, actually. Lisa Moreau, sorry if I've said that wrong, so sorry, asked us, what is your Colin favourite hairstyle from season 1 or season 2? Lecky, I'm sure you've got thoughts on this. You're a ship's prow girl, aren't you?
I love all Collins equally.
Every Colin.
I love season 1 Colin's ship's prow. I love season 2 Colin's short hair. I love pirate Colin's waves. I love his emotional support curl. I am here for every single Colin hairdo. Sorry.
What's your favourite Colin then from season 1 or season 2?
My favourite Colin?
It's hard, isn't it?
Oh, that's hard. That's really hard. I'm going to say racist Colin, maybe?
Underrated, yes. You know my favourite Colin.
Yeah. 206.
206 Colin,
Yeah.
10 out of 10, followed by...
Bachelor party, smiling Colin.
But like you say, all Collins equally. Veg, I mean, I'm not being funny. You literally threw his head on the ground today. So
Yeah.
I don't really know that you're best placed to answer this question.
When I think of Colin, I think of him looking over at Penn in the 108 ball.
Oh,
The 108 ball. Oh,
Yeah.
that is a wonderful one.
that's a good one. I love all Collins. Hard question.
Kipria _ asked, what gets you all so invested in the Polin storyline? Is it relating to the wallflower aspect or something else? And I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher this. tinyveal _ 1 asked, what is it about Polin that first captured your attention and made you love them? Have to say, this, I genuinely have a black spot in my brain. I cannot remember. I remember why I got so invested in the fandom, but I have no recollection of watching it for the first time. It just happened to me, you know? It's like birth. You don't remember being in the womb, but you know you were there.
Yeah, yes.
But you know that you were born. I feel like that. I'm like, I know there was a before, and I know there was a moment of birth, but I'm here now. That's all I know.
Kind of a similar experience for me where I'm not really sure exactly what drew me to Polin, maybe besides like how much I just really enjoyed the characters and their performances. But I watched season 2 with a period watch group over Zoom, and I remember just being very obnoxious, being like, I'm pretty sure they end up together, guys. Like, these two characters are meant to be just the whole season long. And then, of course, we finished season 2. I read the book and went down the rabbit hole.
Went and read it.
Yeah.
Well, we know, Veg, your origin story was that you weren't that bothered. You watched the show and you had a dream. Very much like Colin, aren't you?
I had a dream.
Ironically.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. I do like a nice boy.
Sweet.
So maybe that.
A sweet, sensitive Colin. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I was never really all about the friends to lovers particularly. And I'm not really a wallflower.
I do relate to Pen. I feel like a wallflower, but I don't know if that's what drew me to Polin. I just feel like I just really loved those characters and their love story. And I just could tell that they were meant to be together, that they were soulmates.
Yeah. So I think for me, I'm like the opposite of a wallflower, I think. If you saw me, you'd maybe think I would identify with Pen, but I don't really. I'm not good at keeping secrets, and I would just tell you to your face how I felt about you, quite frankly, as I frequently do with these two. I think probably what drew me in, I bet it was Colin travelling to Greece, because I was about to go to Greece. I was about to go travelling when I first watched the show. I was literally like, I had it all booked, I had it all planned, and I was like getting out of the country. And I love mythology. So I think I probably saw that.
The Odyssey parallels, yeah.
And then it's like you say, like, it's such a unique experience that I have so much affection for their story as a couple, but I have so much affection for each of them as individual characters.
Yep, exactly.
I think that's all it is. It's talking about, going back to the beginning. Someone asked us, how did you all meet? I'm so curious. We touched on this last year at some point, but we met on
Reddit.
the Polin subreddit.
Yeah.
We met on Reddit. Yeah, and here we are.
We all met on Reddit. Yeah, and Obs and I remember admiring her from afar because I thought her comments were so witty and insightful.
I was obsessed with her.
And then we ended up having like a group chat together. And I think the event that kind of kickstarted us all coming together was in fact Pirate Colin.
The Pirate Colin links.
So yeah, we all met on Reddit.
Rosio_Fletcher asked if we knew each other before the podcast came to life. Yes, so me, Lecky and Beans knew of each other from like May, June, July 2022. We became real friends in like the August, September.
Yes.
And then Veg, you were always on the side messaging Beans because you live in Greenwich. So you were like, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. And then we became friends.
Like April 23.
We actually have in our block 4 part 2, you will hear me and Veg meeting for the first time. We have it recorded by accident.
Yep.
It's very sweet. So we met on Reddit. We met literally through Polin. All of this has been that.
So cute.
Yes. In our initial trailer video that I made for our podcast, I said it was a podcast from friends who never would have met without Polin. And it's so true. I'm so grateful to the show and to Polin for bringing us all together because they're honestly the most amazing women. I'm so grateful that I got to know them.
Myri_Ilya, again, so sorry, asked if you could go back to the early podcast episodes, what would you tell your past selves?
I have a good answer for this.
Oh, Lecky, please, go for it.
And it's great advice if you're doing like a TV podcast. Don't divvy up subjects.
Oh, I thought you were going to say don't do it.
Because when we first started our rewatch, we were like, oh, somebody's going to cover this, somebody's going to cover this. And it's super unnatural and also took forever. And we had to re-record our first episode like twice. It was such a pain in the butt. Don't do that. And then I think also our To Doom episode, we talked about crumbs like the entire time. So I think it's kind of unlistenable now. Yeah, I think we were talking about kind of current events and news going on. But we really didn't have anything else to talk about because we were so looking forward to Doom, not knowing what awaited us, of course, at the time. But yeah.
Veg, what would you tell our early selves?
Get ready. I don't know. It's hard because it's been such a crazy journey. So much good has come from it. A little bit of bad, but like it has literally just been the craziest thing. And I wouldn't want to tell myself anything because if I'd said, oh, you're going to meet all these people, you make such good friendships, I think I'd go into it like expecting
too much
when really it's just sort of been something that's pretty nice to just organically happen.
Yeah.
We've just had a nice time.
I would tell myself you were going to learn what it truly means to have a passion project. Because like I had no comprehension of what
labor of love.
Yeah, that's the word, a labor of love. I've never understood exactly what that means before this podcast because when I say it's a labor of love, that's the only way you can describe how it's so all consuming. and it takes so many more hours than you would ever believe, but it's a labor of love, and that is the truth.
Yeah.
What I think I would tell myself is, no matter what happens, no matter the ups, the downs, ultimately you're still going to love this story. I think that amazes me. I never would have guessed that we still, all four of us, would be this invested and in love with it.
We could talk about it for like 60 plus hours and have things not turn out remotely as we were expecting.
Unless you're beans.
And still be kind of consumed and love this story.
And then very, very quickly, what's been your favourite episode to record?
Ooh. I loved the rewatches, honestly.
You know what was surprising is I really didn't want to do the rereads.
I forced them to do it. I really did.
And I feel like we were all so unhinged. I'm so sorry. But they ended up being like just the funniest.
Yeah, they're fan favourites.
I can't believe we sang Take Me to Church as ducks. Yeah, maybe those.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about it in like a retrospective episode one day. But there's a lot of episodes that I think back to where when I was away traveling, I would have to do insane things. Like I would be on a boat traveling through the Greek seas. I would get off a boat, walk half an hour to my thing, and literally we just start recording and I'd be like, I've just got off a boat. So it's like the little time capsules.
Yeah.
Also Christmas Day, maybe not, we didn't record for a couple of days, but Christmas Day was really fun because Daz Perfidi, so sorry, asked us the most exciting thing we've experienced waiting for the arrival of Polin season. I think Christmas Day was really fun. I have a lot of lovely memories about that.
I vaguely remember having two holidays kind of like that. I think Thanksgiving 2022 is when we had the first old Royal Naval College shoot and stuff like that. So I remember being up like all night on Thanksgiving in 2022 and then Christmas in 2023 when we finally got some stills.
Well, like I think this is a thing is that actually, and this is no slight on the podcast, the most fun I've ever had in the fandom was even before we did the podcast. It was the Crumbs when they were filming, like the summer of 2022 and the winter of 2022.
Yeah.
That's like my fondest memories.
Yeah.
But enough about us. Jenny_W_K asked which character, I say enough about us and then I ask us a question about us again. Which character would you most like to be for a short amount of time? So, you know, like not forever, but just for a short period of time. If you could be in the shoes of another character, who would you be in the show?
I mean, I feel like Colin's my favorite character. I don't think I'd want to be him.
I would choose Colin. I would be Colin because travelling on my budget.
You're doing your tiger strut through town?
Well, no. Do you think he'd be in a £7.89 hostel? No, he wouldn't. I'd have his budget because he has money, regardless of what people say. I'd have his budget travelling.
I'd be Queen Charlotte. I really like dogs.
You do. You'd be good, Queen Charlotte. Yeah. Veg, who do you want to be?
Lady Danbury. I think she gets the cool invites.
Oh, yeah, that's a good choice.
Oh, she has the most fun. And then last little unhinged question. If you had to describe Colin and Penn using only desserts, which would they be? Asked Lucky Squirtle.
Oh my gosh, that is so fun.
I mean, Colin would be a biscuit. Hopefully not a headless biscuit, but Colin would be a biscuit. Penelope would be...
Penn's a French fancy.
She doesn't like citrus, so it can't be citrus.
That's a good point.
She would be like strawberry shortcake.
Oh, I'm going to put her as a French fancy, as a strawberry French fancy.
Oh, she does look like those French fancies, but you can't do the lemon one. It has to be one of the other flavors.
They don't do a seafoam green French fancy.
Oh, no.
She'd have to be something that's like, what's like a dessert that you don't realise how good it is and then you have it and you're like, oh, actually, I'm a bit of that.
Kind of like strawberry shortcake. It's so simple, but when you're eating it, you're like, this is really good.
This is heavenly.
Yeah.
This is heavenly.
Yeah. Just like something just with fresh fruit. And it's so delicious. You're like, oh my God.
More of that, please.
Yeah, no one thinks about the fruit, but it's so good.
And like the fruit, you never know if it's going to be sweet. You never know if it's going to be bitter. You never know if it's going to be sour. And Colin, I like the idea. He'd be a biscuit, but a really nice biscuit. Colin would be something very, very sweet and very delicious. He could be one of his little biscuiteers biscuits.
On a little plate with a biscuit cushion.
Jammy Dodger biscuit.
I was thinking Jammy Dodger. He could be a Jammy Dodger.
Because it's got the little heart.
Oh, the little heart in the middle. It's softy. Okay, we'll move on. Are you tired of talking about Polin? Do you want to go to some other characters? What are you feeling?
Other characters.
For a start, amazing username. Pamela Anderson, like Pamela Anderson but with poetry.
Wonderful.
Asked, which side plot are you most looking forward to?
Pamela Anderson was Trithra's mallet name. Sorry.
Yeah. It wasn't Johnny's like Bob or something.
Brian.
Sorry, Brian. Sorry.
That's all right.
When you said that, I thought that was your answer for a second. It was like, I was like, who's Brian?
Very excited for a Brian the Mallet subplot in season 3.
Come back.
Little did you know.
Probably Fran, I think. Are we all Fran?
I'm going to say it's not Fran because I like happy endings and their story is going to break me.
Oh yeah, they're a bit doomed, aren't they? I love a bit of tragedy. Bring it on. Bring on Fran.
Bring it on, Fran.
Yeah. I'm quite intrigued by Jasper and I'll talk about the queer storyline actually.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because I think it was good to see in Queen Charlotte, but I just want to see it, and I'd like to see it done nicely, because even now we still get, if people know, the bury your gays trope where have sad endings.
Yeah, I am very curious to see if it will be a main character or if it'll be somebody like Cressida.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be nice to see that representation.
Yeah.
And this is what we were asked as well by another listener. Would you like to see more diverse leads going forward? And yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. It's something that the show has the opportunity to do. So I feel like it should go in, all in, whenever it can.
Absolutely.
I'm very interested in the Cressida storyline this season because I'm curious about what her role will be in season 4 or in Benedict's storyline if the Cowpers are in fact related to Sophie's family.
Yeah.
Well, we were asked this. Do you think the Cowpers have been set up to be the stepfamily in the Sophie storyline? I think we think yes.
I do think they are, yeah.
And do you think Sophie will be revealed this season? And if so, when?
Hello, where is Sophie Beckett? Have you seen Sophie Beckett? I'm looking for Sophie Beckett. Hey, I'm looking for Sophie Beckett. Now, where is Sophie Beckett, bro? Don't you know?
Where is Sophie?
She might be at a masquerade.
Where is Sophie Beckett?
Yeah, I think we might get a little tease of Sophie Beckett in one of the last few episodes, but it might be really subtle. We might not actually see her. Maybe we'll see, you know, just a glimpse of somebody in silver.
I think Jess Brunel has said that fans might be able to deduce who season 4 is. There might be some clues. Do you know how there were in season 3? There was clues to sort of, or, you know, there was a story beat where we were like,
Yeah, maybe there'll be a shot of Benedict at a ball and his, like, eyes catch something across the room, but you don't see what he's looking at. Something like that.
yeah, I don't think the masquerade will be. It's difficult, right? I think the masquerade will be good in season 3 because it would tie in very well to Penn's dual identities and everything like that.
But also the timeline for the Benefi story.
And the timeline. But I just feel like the opportunity to have the marketing of the masquerade for season 4 is just too delicious to miss.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like it's something where if they have a masquerade, they could also revisit that in a way bigger way in season 4. If you're just seeing just the tiniest little glimpse of it.
Maybe you just see Benedict, like maybe the masquerade's happening and it's like very Polin focused. And you just see Benedict speaking to the girl or dancing with the girl in silver. And then
Or just looking across the room.
in season 4, you go back into that and you see it from his perspective.
And you see what you missed.
And you see that whole story was happening.
Yeah.
I can't seem to find
for Sophie
Beckett anywhere. Can you tell me where she
has
is?
Sophie Beckett gone?
I don't even really know who she is, but I'm looking for her.
And then Midnight Red Light asked which couple are you most excited for after season 3. So not which one do you want to be season 4, but in general. I think I'm a Philoise girl, secondly to Polin. A bit of Plant Daddy, bit of Elle. Bring it on.
Very excited for Plant Daddy. But I haven't read Gregory's book, but I heard that he's a lot like Colin.
Oh, that's just chaos.
So I'm kind of looking forward to some more chaos.
Because the thing is, you could argue that the other Bridgertons sort of take inspiration from their parents, or, you know, a lot has been framed by that. Whereas when you get to Gregory, in his book, he's like, my family taught me everything I know about love. And you're like, oh, maybe you didn't learn from the best there, babe.
Yeah, he learned the double handhold from Colin.
He learned the double handhold. Yeah, absolutely. Hyacinth would also be a lot of fun. She'd just be absolute, just chaos in a very different way.
Yeah. I've only read Francesca's as well as the series we've seen or will be seeing. So I am excited for Mikey.
And then lastly, with non-polling questions, Lisa Moreau asked, how down are we for Fife to become a curveball love interest? That's been my crap from day one, actually. But, you know, as we've said,
Probably not happening.
that is not on the cards.
Yeah, just more Fife random hookups in cupboards.
More closet time.
Maybe Lord Fife, Lord Wilding.
Oh, yes. Oh my God, what if it's Fife?
Oh, that would be beautiful.
Absolutely behind that 100%.
100%. The Lord Squad. Let's have it. Absolutely beautiful. Speaking of, you know, the past, the present, the future. Curious_Peacock. Again, 10 out of 10 username here. How do you think they will explain the transition to this season's timeline from the last season's epilogue? Curious Peacock, what I'm going to say is, I think the timeline
Get the timeline.
has gone.
Yeah.
It was always a bit wonky with the epilogue, the season 2 epilogue, right? And then Queen Charlotte got involved and aged Violet by about 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
It gave an extra child to Daphne.
Well, I mean, the child for Daphne at least provides an excuse for her not being in this season. But I will say, like, when you're adapting a romance novel, including an epilogue like this, probably does introduce complications for them, you know, when they're setting up the next season. So I understand where the writers are coming from. But yeah, we just have to ignore the timeline in the epilogues.
Because
It doesn't make sense.
this is an episode 1 spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
I don't know if this is confirmed, but I've heard, so apologies if this is incorrect. I've heard that Colin has been away for 4 months.
4 months?
Now, this might not be true. We will check. We'll find out very soon.
But the season starts in, like, April.
The season is starting in April.
Also, doesn't it take a long time to get to Europe?
He could not visit 17 cities.
So he leaves in August. So he comes back in December?
Is he like interrailing to visit 17 cities in 4 months?
Now he is an interrailer. That boy is an interrailer if I've ever met one.
You know what? He was transported by the army.
Yeah.
He marched with them.
By balloon!
By balloon!
Around the world in 80 days!
Yeah.
Oh my God, it actually was. That would work out perfectly. There's your timeline.
That's why he's so knowledgeable about balloons. Yeah.
He's like, I've got this. I piloted this. So we know for a fact that season 2 ended in early August.
Yeah.
That's provable. The epilogue has to come because if you time up the Cantonese honeymoon and everything, that has to take place. The earliest it could be February, March. It can't take place later than April or May because Colin's back. So God knows when the Pall Mall comes into it. That was already a write-off. But if he's been away for 4 months, he says, you didn't write to me over summer. What summer? What summer were you away? Maybe you went to Australia.
Spoilers.
I think we're just going to drive ourselves mad. We've learned lessons before. Don't think about the epilogue timelines. Don't think about Daphne's pregnancies. She's a miracle of modern science.
Curious Peacock will just say it's a fantasy. I don't think they intend on explaining it.
Yeah.
On the topic of hot air balloons, to which I'm basically a hot air balloon podcast at this point. What are your final theories for the balloon scene? Asks Arctic 16. Arctic with a K, but you're still very on there with the doubling. And Megan Shackleton 85 asked, please tell me this one has significance. The hole we have been down.
The big swan.
Sue Brenda Bell asked, will Penn get hurt? Now, there are lots of spoilers going around. There's lots of interviews. Like, we know what happens with the first kiss. We have more information about the carriage scene. If there's one thing I'm like, I need to protect my peace on this. The one thing I do not want to be spoiled on is the hot air balloon. So if you have hot air balloon spoilers and if you send them to me, I will cry. And don't make me cry.
From the snippet of the costuming chart that we saw on the wall in the ET promo, Penelope has a stunt double. And from promo, it seems like she may be involved in the action some way. So I feel like maybe both Gregory and Penelope may be in peril for some reason. But I really can't draw any conclusions beyond that. I don't understand in what world Gregory and Penelope are both in trouble. Like, what happened for them both?
Lecky, did you hear that interview with Nicola where she talked about stunts taking place?
True, yeah. So
she's definitely involved.
Yeah, I think she's involved in some way. It's very confusing because from the still, it looks like she's on the picnic blanket. So there must be at some point where she gets off the picnic blanket and becomes involved in this action.
But she's kind of in Debling's arms, and she kind of looks like she's like leaning back into him.
You think that's after?
I think she's like falling back.
But that's not much action. I mean, if Nicola thinks she needs a stunt double to fall back into a man's arms.
Have you ever fucking fallen from a hot air balloon? Is that something you've personally got?
Do you think she fell into his arms from the hot air balloon?
It's a rom-com. I don't think you're grasping the concept of a rom-com. Of course.
But okay, no. The hot air balloon is like several hundred feet away from their picnic basket.
She's fallen. She's fallen out.
And she fell like 100. The wind that we keep talking about blew her straight into Debling's arms.
She blew it. Yeah, it's a rom-com. Yeah. And isn't that such a trip? Oh, I just fell into your arms from a massive balloon. Yeah, I think it makes sense for Penn to be in danger because that's like a huge motivation for Colin, right?
I don't think she falls out of the balloon.
Something's going down.
Something happens.
The thing is, I keep saying Gregory's involved. It's only because he's got a dodgy arm. Maybe he just fell over. Like
he falls over and breaks his arm.
I once slipped on milk and broke my wrist. Like maybe that has nothing to do with the hot air balloon.
Yeah, I don't know. The hot air balloon is a mystery. We've speculated this one a lot and we kept being wrong. And now I really don't know, except that I think Penelope is involved in the action some way. I can't think of a way to wrap my head around both Gregory being injured and Penelope being there. I don't know why those two characters would be together in this, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, Megan Shackleton wants to know if this one has significance. I will see your swan, honk honk, and I will raise you a fortune teller.
Well, I feel like the swan still has symbolism. As a Polin fan, we have adopted the swan as our symbol.
Yeah.
And I feel like having a large fucking swan on set is still, tied into the Polin romance. Even if they're not addressing the giant swan in the room, the swan has purpose.
Because, the episode 3 is about him not quite getting it yet, but trying to grapple with it. And and it's the difference between waking and sleep and being confused and almost being there. So he needs massive things like massive fucking swans. But In the background of one of the stills, you can see there's like a fortune teller or like a Mystic Meg kind of setup.
Wonderful.
I really want one or both of them to go get their fortunes told.
Yes.
That's something I want to see. And I can't take credit for this. It was one of our listeners, I think, who, do you know, there's that still of him looking at his hand, and it's to do with like the hand burn or the injury or whatever. They were like, what if he's also looking at his hand because he had his fortune told?
Oh, interesting.
I think either of them going to get their fortune read would be hilarious.
Yes.
That would be funny.
Because it would break both of them.
Yeah.
Off topic, but one thing that is so unclear about this season is like, we haven't seen that many of the funny moments, but that we know there's going to be so many. I'm just like very excited for the comedy.
And on the topic of the swan, a wondering Roxy asked, are there any theories that you had on your Crumbs episodes that are totally different now? Like 90% of them.
Yeah.
The thing with the Crumbs episodes and the things with the necklace, because we were asked about the necklace as well, is it's like daydreams, right? Some daydreams are the things you hold on to because you need them to become real. Like writer Colin, I would class him as something that we hoped for, that we actually wanted to come real. And some daydreams, it's like what Penn says during 206, some daydreams are there to get you through the day. You know, some theories were there to pass the time.
You know what I wanted that didn't really happen?
Go for it.
Well, I mean, I still argue that there's like an element of this, but when he comes home, I wanted him to turn and look at Penelope's house. And I feel like they still have that kind of fleeting moment of connection.
Spoiler alert.
This is Lucky with some episode 1 spoilers. If, like me, you were unable to resist watching the first 5 minutes that were uploaded by Netflix, there is, in fact, a moment where Colin turns to look at Pen as if sensing her presence. Moments before that, there's this beautiful shot of Penelope stepping towards Colin like she can't help herself when she sees him greeting his family. I'm actually very happy with how this played out because I've said all along I think that she is the north on his compass. I feel like he senses her whenever she is near, and I got that moment that I wanted. I hope you all are just as happy as I am with it, even if there is some ambiguity about whether or not Colin saw Pen or what he was thinking at that moment. Just seeing a hint of that connection that they have, that Penelope instinctively can't help but take a step towards Colin, and that he inevitably turns toward her as if sensing her presence. I am just thrilled. I hope you are too.
Spoilers.
You know, we lose things, we gain things. So is life.
Lose that, gain the balloon.
Polin on the Rocks. I love Polin on the Rocks. Go follow them. A great account. She makes drinks inspired by Polin. Asked the craziest theory for part 1 that you haven't said yet, or maybe like that didn't come true.
For a crack theory, I did want him to maybe climb into her room at some point in part 1 or part 2. I don't think it'll happen, but that's like a crack theory that I would have liked and enjoyed.
Emma Sunny Duck asked, is there a prediction of yours that's definitely not happening but that you're going to miss? Let's say that we assume isn't going to happen. You know what I'm going to say now is there's a part of me that genuinely doesn't believe we're going to get Berkeley Square in any capacity. And there's a part of me that I don't even know that we're going to get a flashback.
I disagree with you on the Berkeley Square thing just because it's so cinematic.
Where is it though?
I don't know.
Where is it in any of the promo?
I don't know. It's got to be in part 2.
I've got my Flame Dork Berkeley Square mug. I'm drinking out of it as we speak.
I know. I see it. I'm just saying, reading the book, it is a very cinematic scene. It is a scene that would play well on camera. It's super romantic. It's highly visual. I would be shocked if they didn't do it, and also slightly disappointed, but we'll see.
The only thing I can think is there's a version of it. Do you know when he's walking in the park and he's like, I just want you to be happy? I think that scene in the park, or like when they're strolling, connects to Penelope and Debling having a little bit of like a nice conversation and a nice chat where they bump into each other. And I wonder if Colin sees them and has that conversation with Pen about, I just want you to be happy. And the thing about Berkeley Square is it's inherently bittersweet. So I wonder if they've taken the bittersweet, left the dance on the fucking side of the road and just brought the bittersweetness to it.
No, because they could adapt that to be a purely romantic moment. That could even be like an almost like pre-epilogue moment after they say goodbye to Fran and Eloise, and they have this kind of moment alone outside where they start to dance or something. But I think that there will be a dance. But I was going to point out in the recent promo that 0.1 second of Penelope crying in a dress we've never seen before.
Yes, that's a good point.
We're so used to having only 24 minutes of Polin footage that I feel like we can't wrap our heads around that there's going to be literally hours of them on screen. There's so much that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, they're being careful about what we're seeing.
Editor's note, Berkeley Square fans, don't give up hope just yet, because in a recent article, Jess Brunell was quoted as saying that there may be some things in the back half of the season that are from the front half of the book Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. There's still some moments to come that fans will recognize. Fingers crossed one of those moments is the Berkeley Square scene.
Well, Not So Dainty asked, guesses for when Colin and Pen will have their first dance. Will it be sensual or light-hearted and sweet?
This is something that also kind kind of disappointed me because I really wanted to see them dancing a lot in part 1, but because of the nature of the suitor's plot and her success with Devlin, I feel like they might even just dance once in part 1.
And that's the difference between, because it's been compared a lot to the Simon and Daphne plot in like early season 1. And people have been like, well, what's the difference? The difference between fake dating and dating coaching is fake dating, you're enacting being together. So you do things like dance. Whereas theoretically, what you're supposed to do as a coach is be on the sidelines, watching and observing.
He's the wallflower.
And not actually participating. He's the wallflower, which we can kind of see. And obviously the struggle he has and the chaoticness that he has is that he's not very good at just standing by. So that's the tension, right? That he's sort of given up the right and the ability to do things. Because if he wants to dance with her, and there's that moment, there's a still from episode 3 where he's on the dance floor with her. And she like looks affronted. If he's like, I want to dance with you, and she's like, you can't. Like the whole bloody point is that you don't want to be with me. We've got past that. We've ticked that off the list. And if you're dancing with me, it's just going to confuse the messages. Which is maybe where Devlin's going to get sort of see things. But I think they will dance in part 1.
Just not as often as I thought.
Will they have time to have a sweet dance?
Yeah, I think they've got to, really.
I thought they were going to have a dance in episode 1. I don't think that's happening.
No.
It's gone out the window. You've got a garden scene as well, which is still cute.
Yeah. Editor's note, since recording we received the soundtrack for season 3, and it appears that Snow on the Beach will play in episode 4. It seems like it's coming right before the carriage scene, and if that's the case, this seems like it may be a song that Polin might dance to. We are very much looking forward to that sequence.
Who says I love you first? This was asked by Sherry Palooza on TikTok.
Luke, when he's talking about the carriage scene and being a confession, I think it's him.
In the carriage. Right, but I think knowing Colin and knowing Polin's miscommunication, I reckon he's going to like have a love confession but forget to say that he loves her.
Forget to say the words.
And in his head, he's like, I totally confess my love for you.
You know what? If his apology is a love confession, that's also on brand for him.
And so that doubt remains in Penn's mind because that's a very book thing.
Yeah, that's true.
He's never actually said he loves me. And he's like, I confess my love. And it's like, you didn't.
Okay, if it's not the carriage, I still think it's him first because I feel like Penelope is very guarded. She's loved him for so long. Is she going to be like, I've loved you for years before he says that to her first? I feel like he's going to be the first one.
Yeah, I think there's like 2 love confessions really. There's like the love confession to Penelope and there's a love confession to Penelope as a fully rounded human being.
Yeah, when he knows her flaws.
Like you have to have the double love confession when he's aware of Whistledown, and I think that's the real one that matters.
Yeah.
And VLVS67 asked, will Colin propose more romantically than the book? Probably not, if I know that boy. Probably fucking not. He'll say something. It's like the reconciliation scene in the garden. He's like, we're friends, aren't we? And she's like, oh, dagger, soul, yes, we're fucking friends. And he's like, I did a great job. I've made it up with her. And she's like, died again.
I couldn't imagine spending another day without my bestie.
Without my best friend, yeah. You're my pal. You're my girl pal 101. Yeah. Okay, a couple of very quick questions to break it up. Mr. Mara13 said, will you watch all 4 episodes at once or will you try to take breaks in between?
All 4 for me. I might have a lunch break.
Yeah, I might just like pause to like, get some snacks or something like that. But yeah, I'm planning to power through.
Yeah.
Well, see, Melon Michael asked, how will you watch part 1? Will you watch it together? Are you taking the day off work? Part 1, I've got the day off work.
Yep, day off work.
We won't watch it together.
No.
We've always said it's really important to like fully enjoy it.
Yeah, maybe we'll watch together later.
Yeah.
But after we watched it privately.
Carly Utega, I'm so sorry again, asked, are you guys doing anything fun for the release of the season? And a wondering Roxy asked, how are you guys dealing as we reach the last stretch for release?
It was either one of our listeners or somebody on Reddit said that they were going to watch with noise-canceling headphones. I think I'm going to buy some noise-canceling headphones. I can watch and absorb everything.
Yeah. For me, my ex-boyfriend and I are like staggering each other in the flat. And he owns the big TV because I didn't want to spend loads on a big TV. But I've booked the big TV and the flat for Bridgerton Day. But I won't have it for part 2 though, so I guess I'll just have to sit close to the screen.
What I'll say about release of the season and how we're coping is it's really reflexive these days how we like consume Polin content, and it's not in a bad way. It's not in like I wish I could enjoy it as a carefree fan, but it does definitely sort of alter the approach.
It's really hard for me to turn off the part of my brain where I'm interpreting things.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to turn that off while I'm watching. So I'm just enjoying and not kind of necessarily analyzing what is going to come next. But knowing myself, I'm going to be recognizing the stupid locations in the background and being like, oh, you know what? That's probably set up for this, because that's just the way my brain works.
Emmy Garcia asked, which episode do you think will be your favourite based on what we know so far? Rank them.
Oh my gosh, it's changed so much, hasn't it?
It has. Give me a ranking.
I think originally I said 3 because I thought it was going to be the Barclays Square scene, but now we've got Hot Air Balloon. I think it's still going to be 3.
Can you rank them?
3, 2, 4, 1.
Lecky, I'm the same. I think Hot Air Balloon has my life. Also, I like the idea of Colin's journey as he's grappling. I think that's a really interesting, I think that's going to be portrayed really, really well.
Yep. And then lots of Polin moments. 2.
Episode 2 is Osterley. I think that has my heart. Yeah. Veg?
Yep.
Spoiler alert.
Well, I initially said 2, but it seems like a lot happens in episode 2. And it's the brothel scene that really bumps it down the list for me.
Fair play.
Spoilers.
I think that I'm just going to be obsessed with Chaos Colin. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be 3 or maybe even 4 as my favourite. Because carriage.
Yeah.
And then 1, then 2.
Lisa Nips asked, are you somehow disappointed already knowing so much of part 1's plot? And MUTJ asked, what is a spoiler that you wish you had experienced during watching? I feel like I've just reached my limit. I feel like if I hear any more...
Yeah, we feel like we've all reached our limit.
Yeah.
I'm okay with what I know, but if I know any more, I think they'll push me over the edge.
Something I kind of wish I didn't know, and this was just revealed in promo,
Spoiler alert.
is that she asks for the first
The
kiss.
kiss.
Yeah.
I didn't think we'd get that much details about first kiss.
I didn't think they were going to include that from the books. I would have been very excited to see that play out, not knowing that that was coming.
Spoilers.
And on a slightly lighter note, also Mosen, asked, what was your favourite promo drop crumb you got before the release of part 1? What's been your favourite thing?
Colin pulling Penelope into his arms in like the ad in the subway. They're so happy.
I haven't even processed that because there was a lot of information and I just haven't really processed how sweet that is.
Or the intensity of the mirror promo. Like, what the fuck?
We lost our minds. I think what was exciting about the mirror promo is they'd like really dropped that out of nowhere. It went from 0 to 100.
Yeah, crazy.
Veg?
I liked the little clips we got. That was a great time. Little snippets, like Feb, March time. What a delight.
Oh, yeah.
I loved Goodnight, Mr. Bridgerton and the lesson.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
The live stream was fun. Hearing information for the very first time was really exciting because it had been a drought and then we got like dinner.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like we've had so much information since then. It's sort of gone into overdrive.
We're sat under the Niagara Falls at this point. There's no drought.
It's funny because Nicola said that the Remarkable Shade of Blue scene isn't even in her top 5 Polin scenes. And I'm so attached to it. Like, I just thinking about that scene sometimes makes me want to cry.
It was seeing them in motion as well. And lastly on this topic, Grace Belton asked, what has been your favourite leak or theory that got us all spiralling? You can go all the way back to day 1 for this.
Pirate Colin. We did not anticipate.
I think Pirate Colin, Enchanted Polin, that was a really exciting day. So yeah, Pirate Colin all the way. Because he spawned so much and yeah, it was a really different time and it was lovely.
For me, it was seeing all the flowers being brought.
Yeah.
We were there, live in living colour.
Not that the listeners all know.
So spoilers for our Crumbs 4 part 2.
Fuck for part 2 yet again.
Taylor's version from the vault.
Breaking into the vault.
It's when they just kept bringing all these flowers.
It was surreal. It was
to the
surreal.
fucking chapel.
Yeah.
That moment.
Pixel Pollen, which we'll get into, was also really funny.
Yeah.
Quite a few people asked, what is your favourite thing about the Pollen relationship?
The bants.
You know what? I have to be honest. I feel like we're in it so deep now. I couldn't even tell you. I know that I love them.
I think it's the bants. We love a bit of bants, don't we? We're what a Barb.
Well, it's an interesting one that you mentioned What a Barb, because Leanna Witch asked, how many What a Barb moments do you think we'll get in part 1? And I think we've already seen a few. There's like the little market stalls that they've had, like a little Osterley seems to be really, really Barbie, which, oh my God, today that behind the scenes of Pen in the carriage after the Osterley, where she's writing Whistledown, I think that's going to have a really sad note. But I think it's important we see those What a Barb moments. So we really, as an audience, really get why these two are so perfect for each other.
Yeah, we root for them.
I'm going to say 3.
3 moments.
We're going to get 3 What a Barb moments.
Oh.
Let's do it.
I hope we get more than 3.
Ray London 87 said, Nick said Colin and Penn are soulmates. What moments so far do you think prove this?
The what a Barb scene, the purpose scene where they connect on that deeper level over their dreams.
Purpose is beautiful.
And them finding each other in moments.
I think Purpose is always going to be one of my favourite. It's the way his world shifts, and you can see it literally shift in the Purpose scene, where what's so gorgeous is that it's like you see the world the way I see the world, and you see me for who I truly am.
Yeah.
One of my favourite Nick quotes in any interview has always been from behind the scenes in season 2, when she was like, I think she really, really sees him, and he in a way really, really sees her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Veg, you said something so beautiful. You said that the way that they find each other.
Yes.
And they're always drawn to each other.
Yeah.
And that's something that Luke has very recently said in one of the many interviews, is that no matter what obstacles come their way, these are two characters who ultimately find themselves just drawn back to each other time and time and time again. And I think that's so beautiful. Do you think we will have Colin be jealous of Penn's writing? Asked Putch Goosit. Sorry.
Nah.
I hope not. I think that's an Eloise thing.
I think he's got plenty to be jealous about and angry
I
about.
think there's too much. And yeah, we've talked before that seems like something they've given to Eloise.
She was a siren, said, how will Colin approach life in the ton once he gets with Penn? I think he will just probably transform into the my wife, and he will also transform into protective Colin.
Yeah. Geeky little geek.
And he will learn to care less about what other people think.
Which is so important.
A reversal of that moment in the Goodnight Mr. Bridgerton scene where
He's looking around.
takes note of the gentleman walking past and says, maybe we should speak somewhere private. He's no longer going to have that insecurity.
Gorgeous.
Because he isn't ashamed of Penn.
Yeah.
He isn't ashamed of her. I think season 1 and season 2 more than prove that. But he does care what people think. He cares about what his family thinks of him. He cares about what society thinks about him.
Sorry, we have him literally sprinting out in front of all those people toward that carriage
Without even thinking twice.
to stop her from leaving him.
There's just not a care in the world.
So yeah, I think we'll see that.
A quick little Peneloise chat. VLVS67 asks, what role will Eloise play in exposing or keeping the Whistledown secret? I think she has no intention of outing Penn.
Same.
Because it's interesting. If Cressida starts threatening, Eloise knows full well what's going on.
Yeah.
She'd know that her new friend was threatening her old friend.
Yeah.
And I think it will draw them back.
Maybe.
And Queens of Love asked, how do you see Peneloise reuniting? I think it might be that Colin's reaction is going to be pretty severe, and it helps Eloise reflect and be like, I've actually had time and I can see why she does what she does.
That's also a reversal of what we thought initially.
Don't listen to anything we say. We're just wittering on. There were lots and lots of questions that we haven't been able to get around to. Thank you so much. There was a lot that's like part 2-y as well, so we might keep those for future. We might touch on those in a future episode. But I think I will end is let's dabble with a bit of part 2 shenanigans, because we've talked so much about the season 3 timeline in terms of part 1, but part 2, after everything we now think we know, after understanding how the carriage is different and how maybe the Lady Whistledown reveal might be different, we obviously had the CBS clip the other day.
Spoiler alert.
All the Bridgertons, it seems, Featheringtons, it seems like other members of the Ton in the Bridgerton drawing room, with Cressida seemingly standing right in front of the Deadmond portrait, making some kind of announcement or being the focus of the attention, and Penelope collapses to the floor and Colin sort of rushes and embraces her. And she says that I cannot breathe. So exciting. These are the kind of crumbs I'm like, delicious. What the hell do you think is going on there? Asked many people.
I'm kind of torn about this because
You have an interesting theory.
I was thinking back to John Glazer, where he was talking about Cressida's dress, that she wears a very interesting, out of context, out of period dress at some point in part 2. And we thought that might be the dress that she wears when she proclaims that she is Lady Whistledown.
Yeah.
But this could be that moment too, because it looks like Cressida is maybe making an announcement. It also sounds like this is the scene that Jess Prano was touching on when she said that there's the scene that's kind of like charades. And I feel like they're not actually playing charades. I feel like it's charades in that all of these characters are in one room together and there's all these different moving pieces.
Yeah.
So I feel like Cressida will get up to make her announcement, and then, you know, Penelope faints and people rush over to her. And I feel like the charades portion is just the mechanics of that scene and all the characters moving together.
Do you think it could be literal charades though? And maybe Cressida doesn't announce she's Lady Whistledown, but maybe something about the charades is like, I know who you fucking are.
She acts out writing, and she, you know what? She gets down on her knees to simulate a short person writing.
Do you think the announcement is maybe she doesn't announce she's Whistledown, but she threatens Pen.
Hints.
In a way that only Penelope would know.
Yeah.
That's so creepy. I love it.
Yeah, I like this because I speculated that maybe this is a scene where the power dynamic between them has already flipped, and this is the scene where Cressida is hinting or maybe subtly threatening that she's going to reveal that secret, and Penelope is still not ready to reveal that herself.
The reason I think this could work is if she does something that only Penelope would know, that makes more sense, because if she starts threatening Pen openly in front of Eloise, like Eloise would immediately jump in. But if it's a way that it's like Eloise isn't going to know, that would make sense as to why Penelope can't tell Colin. Do you know what I mean? Like if she's very silently being threatened, it makes a bit more sense.
You know what would be really clever is if they tied this into the book where Cressida maybe gets up to make an announcement and she says something very specific that Lady Whistledown just said word for word or something like that, and only Penelope kind of recognizes what that is.
What's happening.
Yeah.
Lecky, you had an interesting theory about the collapsing. Do you think Pen's faking?
I do think she's faking. I wondered if maybe this was almost like a very subtle callback to that scene in season 1,
Art of the Swoon.
Art of the Swoon, where Cressida feigns to get the prince's attention, and then they cut back to Eloise and Penelope, and they're kind of like tittering and laughing.
Yeah, they're watching.
But maybe this is a scene where Penelope actually feigns a faint, first as a distraction, or maybe to escape from that scene because she doesn't know how to handle this threat. Cressida's kind of hanging over her head.
Or like maybe Cressida is about to, she's done enough that Pen's like, oh my God, I know exactly what you're going to do. And before she can say, and your Lady Whistledown, she faints. So do you think they're engaged by then because she's like holding on to Colin?
Yeah.
I do think so. Yeah, I think that's part of the reason all those characters are there.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I love about that scene though is that Eloise rushes to Pen's side.
She does.
I think that is the heart of it, is that she loves Penelope so dearly, and she doesn't want anything to happen to her.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I feel like with Cressida, part of it, if this is after Debling potentially ends his relationship with Penelope or vice versa, I feel like Debling is going to leave the town, and it's going to be like season 1 where Cressida has had another suitor taken away. And I feel like in this season, we're going to see in her home life that her parents are really pressuring her and are perhaps very cruel about her inability to find a husband. And I feel like this is going to reach this boiling point where she sees that Penelope gave up this suitor that she was pursuing to be with Colin. She's had that stolen from her again. She kind of lashes out and inadvertently severs her relationship with Eloise because of that, because of her cruelty towards Penelope.
Lots to look forward to in part 2 for sure. I think this is what's so interesting, is that we have so much information for part 1. We have an idea in the visuals, but part 2 is
Mystery wrapped in enigma, wrapped in a chandelier drama.
So I'm sure we'll cover part 2 in the next few weeks, but I think that's kind of it. Oh, Beans can't be here, but I'm going to introduce a little segment where we ask Beans some questions.
Yay.
Thank you, Beans, for joining us. We were so sad to not have you yesterday.
I know. Well, I took Tuesday off. We recorded the Weekly Crumbs and then I had therapy, so I had to hop into work yesterday.
She had to earn a living at some point in the week. Well, it's very nice to see you. We're thrilled to have you. We missed you. You know how it is, you rooters. Without you, we tumble. And we tumbled.
I know. I can't wait to hear you guys. Because through the text messages alone that I've gotten, I've been like, oh no.
I pitched it to you while I was like, we're going to have a final episode. It's going to be like the last day of school.
Yeah.
Really relaxed. No big questions or anything like that. And then we would like staring into the abyss, and then we pushed each other into the abyss. Well, here you are. Basically, I just wanted to get you on a call. I've got a few questions for you. Some of them are questions that we answered, but we do have a couple of Bean-specific questions I'm going to sprinkle in here and there from our listeners. If you've ever wondered what it's like to know and love Beans 24/7, as we are blessed to do, it basically comprises of her sharing facts about swans and birds and geese and all various avian trivia.
Yeah.
It also consists of her sending pictures of Biscuit, which is wonderful.
Yep.
But a big component of being friends with Beans is having her wake up and tell us the most insane, deranged, complex, yet somehow tied together with some morality, a dream that she will have.
Yeah.
Your dreams could be a podcast. Wildest Fantasies, a Beans podcast.
So this guy that I have been talking to for a while, our relationship is very slow burn. He sent me this thing the other day that I think kind of describes me perfectly. And it was like, your one friend that just tells you the most horrifying shit with a smile on their face about their life.
That's exactly what it's like. But we wouldn't have you any other way. So to start with, I'm just going to ask you some quick questions that we answered earlier on. So we just want your answers if that's okay.
Yes.
What has been your favourite piece of promo so far?
My favorite thing has been the Clue videos that they've been putting out recently. Obviously the trailer was a big deal. But in terms of promo, I think those have been really fun, where it has Lady Whistledown's voice and then it has the character's voice, because it's all about coming into your own, having your own voice, your own light, whatever. Yeah. I love that. I think it's so fun.
And there's stuff that we used to dream about. We'd be like, oh my gosh, one day there'll be the character promo pieces.
Well, we had hoped that we would hear Penelope or Colin even speak at the end with their own little voiceovers, and now all of the characters are doing it. So it kind of gives me a little bit of confidence that we might hear that at the end of the season.
Well, babe, another question. What was your favourite set leak? The good old days.
The John leaks.
The John casting.
Well, not just that, the leaks that a fan got of him walking down the street. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know exactly which ones you mean. Those were the days, eh? Another question we were asked was, what's been your favourite podcast memory / favourite podcast episode to record?
I think some of my favourite episodes, which I didn't think they were going to be, were the rereads.
That's what they said, and I fought for those rereads, and everyone was like doop, 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 doop. I think it's because none of you wanted to do them. They ended up being really, really funny.
They ended up being so funny. It's actually been nice to work with a group of people that you really like and get to enjoy. And one of my favorite memories is getting to experience all of the highs and lows with people who I think are really deserving of it, and
really deserving of the lows.
No, really deserving. I don't know. We're just deserving of having all of those exciting moments with each other. And we have such a strong base between the four of us, and that even if one person is feeling tired or stressed out or whatever, the other three will step up and help out and do what they can. And I really have enjoyed having that. I mean, I talk to these guys as much as I talk to my sister, which is literally every day.
Beans, I'm here to just ask you trivia questions, and you just... Oh, we love you, Beans. We love you. This is a question from me. I can see Biscuit behind you.
Yeah.
Which Bridgerton character is Biscuit most like?
Oh.
Who is she?
She kind of reminds me of Hyacinth a little bit.
Yeah, I was thinking Hyacinth. Maybe a Hyacinth Gregory, a sweetness of Gregory.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, she's sweet like Gregory, loves cuddling and stuff like that, but she is definitely strong.
A little bit chaotic.
Oh, a lot chaotic.
And then another question that we answered before we get into the specific ones for you. Rank the episodes. The first 4, how do you think they're going to fall for you?
I think maybe 2 or 3 is going to be number 1 for me, because I love tension. And then number 4, and then number 1.
Are you going 2 or 3? You have to decide.
3, 2, 4, 1.
I think that might be what we did. But we all agreed 3. 3's it. I mean, it's got the hot air balloon. It's got Colin Liston's mind. What more could you possibly want in life?
Well, you know what else it has? It has the Inventor's Ball, where he has that moment that I love in the trailer. It's where he has those puppy dog eyes.
Yeah. Fiona Chamberlain said, Beans, lovely prophet of doom that you are, please provide us with the most damning prediction for episode 4.
I mean, I was kind of right. I said beforehand in one of our episodes that I thought that Debling was going to catch on about Penn.
You said it, I think you said it at Valentine's in The Vegetarian, and it's haunted me. I can't get that out of my head now. You've thought before that Penn wouldn't choose Colin over Debling. Debling would see it and end it himself. What do you think his motivation is? Do you think he's doing it in a way that I'm not going to compete, I'm not going to be made a fool out of? It's I see that you're both meant to be together, I don't want to get in the way. What do you think's going on? Does he see it's reciprocated on both sides? Does he just see it coming from one side?
I think he's going to see it's reciprocated on both sides. I think Debling's going to notice in a couple of episodes that there's something going on between them, but he's going to try to ignore it. I think what's going to happen is they will be interrupted, and then Debling will see what's going on, but he'll ask to speak to Penelope privately. He'll realize that Penelope's still distraught about all of this and realize her feelings, and then let her go. She's still in this mindset that Colin doesn't love her, right? And so when Colin follows her out to her carriage because he sees her running away or something, they're going to get into an argument, and it's going to be a really big, explosive argument, whatever. And I think doom and gloom. I don't really think there's going to be too much super doom and gloom in episode 4.
Mischief Carrot, excellent name, asked, will Biscuit be watching part 1? She does watch a few documentaries, doesn't she, and stuff?
But she loves Bob's Burgers. Outside of Bridgerton, Bob's Burgers is my comfort show. I watch it if I'm going through like a hard time, or if my anxiety is like really bad, I'll watch it too.
Yeah.
And as soon as the theme music comes on, she runs from wherever she is and hops on her cat tree to watch the opening of the show.
I mean, Biscuit hasn't really got a choice in that, has she?
No. She loves watching TV with me.
GMZ.Olivia10 said, how will you watch season 3, Beans? And what are you most excited for? Part 1, obviously.
Okay, well, I will probably watch it at 12 a.m. when it comes out.
Are you gonna?
Yeah. Well, here's what I actually will most likely do. I have to take my mother to the airport that morning. I will probably watch it that morning. After I get home.
It comes out at 8 a.m. here. I'll be very blarily pressing play.
Well, I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but I didn't watch Bridgerton straight away.
I don't think any of us did, you know?
I didn't even watch the first season when it originally came out. I watched it when the second season came out, and I didn't even watch the second season until like a month after it came out, or something like that. So if I followed that pattern, I wouldn't watch season 3 for another year.
Now, obviously, we've had words about this.
But
because she's been like, I might just not watch it straight away, but like, consider it a work assignment. You have no fucking choice. You're watching it.
So I'll probably watch it the day that it comes out.
What are you most excited to see?
Besides us having all the spoilers, there is a lot of things that I don't really know that are going on. Like, I don't really know what's going on with Kate. I'm excited to see all of the side characters, especially Portia. I'm so excited to see more of the Featherington dynamic. I'm really excited for Cheeseman, too, because he seems like he's going to be very supportive.
Last quick question that we answered. And you know what? We couldn't really think of an answer because I can't remember. What drew you to Polin in the first place? And what do you love most about them? I can't remember, to be honest. It's been a very long time.
What originally drew me to Polin was... when I watched it, and it might be a little bit different because I'm someone who went through an unrequited love.
As we all know, as we all vividly know.
And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, those two like each other. And I thought that was so cute.
Yeah.
And in season 2, it was very obvious to me that they were at least getting a bigger role in season 3. I didn't know if they were. So that's what kind of drew me in, because I love the concept of friends to lovers. So yeah, I just really liked their dynamic of the two of them. And part of the reason I watched Bridgerton was because I was a huge fan of Nicola Coughlan in Dairy Girls. I adored her in that show. So really it was her. And that was the reason why I started watching the show.
I started watching because of, as you know...
Because of Ollie
Higginson, Footman John.
That's right.
I thought from his social media thing that like him and Eloise were a real thing. So it was that drew me in. I was like, oh, I'll support him and check out this show and see this love story unfold. KM Woolgrove said, Beans, can you make a song to mark the occasion of the release? Now, Beans, I will leave that with you. Can you cook us something special?
Yeah.
For a long time, we didn't have anything. We had like some crumbs that we were trying to make the most out of. And it felt like this shared hallucination that like a handful of people were invested in. But it felt like a really tiny group of people who were just keeping this little tiny flame going for a really, really, really long time. And now like I go into the underground and there's like Polin posters everywhere. And it's the strangest thing. It's like seeing something grow and then you let it go and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, I know. And in the end, I think I'm still going to have a lot of fun. And I'm just excited because I think the hijinks are going to be a lot of fun. I've said this before. I've always been so excited for the rom-com take on this. I have always liked that direction that they're going to take because if they do it well, they can have these beats of intensity and then they can juxtapose that with something a little bit lighter and a little bit funny.
Well, Beans McBeanslet, thank you so much for catching up with me. I'll see you on the other side.
No, wait a damn minute.
What, babe?
I have a question for you.
Oh my God. Well, go for it.
One of our very dear and near followers has asked, and I am also asking, how are you, Ovs?
Oh, I bet I can guess who asked that as well. To the person who asked me this, I know who you are. Lots of love, first of all. How is Ovs? You know, every day's a roller coaster, as you know, Beans.
Yeah. Are you excited?
I'm just excited to see it. I think it has been one of the strangest experiences of my life.
Yeah.
the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And I just can't really believe where we're at with it. On the podcast, we spent a year having a conversation where everything was so theoretical, working towards this. And our entire tone of conversation is going to change.
When part 2 comes out, it'll be
our anniversary, which is really spooky because we obviously had no idea. Can't believe we're here. A lot of emotions. But, Beans, I really will see you on the other side. I love you lots.
Love you
I'll
lots.
speak to you in like 5 minutes when we're off the call.
Yeah.
So that's it for my questions for you guys. Just last minute thoughts. How are you feeling? Can you believe we're here?
No, ma'am.
It's been a very long...
It's been an extremely long journey.
It really has. We've been in this since May 2022. And when I tell you a lot has happened since then,
Yeah.
it really has.
Yeah.
Can't believe we're actually here. Very strange.
People have toddlers now.
Yeah. People weren't pregnant, got pregnant, had a baby, and now they're in like high school, is basically how it feels like. Do you feel like you're the same person you were? Do you feel like you've been transformed by the journey?
I can safely say I'm not the girl I was when I came in many, many ways.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's been a journey for us all as well.
Yeah.
Never would we have thought 2 years ago that A, it would have taken this long for it to come out, and B, that we'd be doing any of this.
Also, I am super shy. So the fact that you even got me on a podcast at all is a miracle. And then I've spoken for so long to other people. Literally nobody in my life knows about this podcast except for my husband. Just fun fact.
Same. This is the thing. Me and Lecky, this is it's not a dark secret in terms of we don't want to tell people. It's just we haven't got around to telling them. And now it's a little bit, it's impossible to backtrack. So yeah. There's a little fun fact for you. So basically we've been super, super busy for a year, and everyone in our lives thinks we've been super, super lazy for a year because we haven't done anything. We haven't socialized.
Yeah. Don't have anything to talk about.
Yeah. We're like, what did you do today? And you're like, I spent all day editing a podcast. You're like, oh, nothing. I just went for a nap. Guys, the next time we speak on a podcast will be in the post-part 1 world.
Oh my goodness.
Brave new world. Let's get this show on the road. I think I'm ready. I'm ready for it to come out.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's go. Let's get this done. Part 1, here we go.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad about it though.
Yeah. End of an era.
It also has been fun waiting and kind of anticipating, and also hearing Nicola and Luke talk about how they are going to miss not being the leads anymore of their own season. I feel like I'm going to be very sad once we finally finish part 2 and the season is over. But
you know what? This is only part 1. We've still got all of part 2 to go. There's so much fun to happen, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm just an emotional person, so.
You're an emotional person. It's been an emotional time.
Yeah.
But happy part 1, everyone. What a journey. Enjoy. We can't wait to hear your thoughts. In the meantime, in the last few days, in the last few hours, it's the coming week. By the time you hear this, we're in the coming week. The week has arrived. We are here.
Coming days.
The coming seconds. As the seconds continue to come, Lecky, where can everyone find us?
You can find us at What a Barb Pod on Instagram and TikTok.
To add to that, we are not currently keeping up with the Instagram messages. If we haven't got to your message,
We're doing our best.
We are so sorry. You're all great, and I'm really sorry if we haven't got to your message. Hopefully soon.
We're trying to keep up.
Yeah, it's a busy time. But yes, also you can, if you're listening to this with your ears, you can also see it with your eyes on YouTube. If you're watching it with your eyes and seeing the collages on YouTube, you can listen to it with your ears while you're out and about.
And Beans, my darling Beans, who's off in the world, do us the honour, sing us out.
Life is a highway, and I wanna ride you all night long. When you're going my way, something calling, I'm gonna ride you all night long. Thank you. Das violin. Do 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 do.
A Polin podcast.